A brilliant life can be lost in seconds on the mountain. And that's exactly what makes this story so powerful and so confronting. This is not just another accident report. It's the story of a guide so gifted and so loved that his death has shaken an entire community. And this is the part most people miss. When someone like this is taken, it forces everyone to ask whether the rewards of extreme adventure are ever truly worth the risk. A highly regarded mountain guide has died while attempting to reach the summit of Aoraki/Mount Cook, leaving climbers across New Zealand grieving the loss of someone they saw as both a role model and a friend. Fellow mountaineers describe him as not just skilled, but genuinely inspirational, a person whose presence on a rope team could lift everyone around him. His death has quickly become a sobering reminder of how even the most experienced professionals are vulnerable in high-risk environments. The guide, Thomas Vialletet, was climbing with a client from the United States when both fell from a ridge on the west side of Aoraki/Mount Cook at around 10:45 p.m. on Monday night. They were part of a team of 4 attempting the summit, and at some point during the ascent, something went catastrophically wrong, sending them down the slope. Their bodies were discovered the following morning and recovered later that day, turning what began as a challenging alpine mission into a tragic recovery operation. Rescue efforts unfolded through the night after authorities were alerted to the incident at about 11:20 p.m. 2 helicopters were dispatched into the dark, complex terrain, one eventually retrieving the surviving members of the group, another guide and a client, at around 2:15 a.m. The aircraft continued searching overnight for the missing pair, knowing that in such harsh alpine conditions, every minute matters, even though the odds quickly become slim. But here's where it gets controversial. Should such high-stakes ascents be happening late at night, when visibility is low and conditions can shift rapidly? Within the tight-knit New Zealand mountaineering world, news of Vialletet's death has hit especially hard. Colleagues say the community is relatively small, which means almost everyone either knew him personally or knew someone who did. Many guides are now rallying around his family, the other guide involved, and the affected clients, trying to offer practical help and emotional support, while also managing their own shock and grief. One of those mourning him is Axel Reiser, General Manager of Alpine Recreation, an organization that had previously employed Vialletet. Reiser describes him not just as a former staff member, but as a good friend who brought far more to the mountains than technical ability alone. He remembers Thomas as a multi-talented individual, a strong climber, an accomplished skier, and a gifted photographer whose eye for beauty matched his appetite for adventure. Reiser explains that Vialletet had a rare ability to inspire the people he guided, helping them feel not only safe but genuinely uplifted by the experience. Clients did not simply reach summits with him. They often came away with a new sense of confidence and joy in the mountains. Reiser also credits Thomas with teaching him everything he knows about ski guiding, emphasizing how deep and practical Thomas's knowledge really was, and how large a gap his death leaves behind. Tim Stewart, managing director of Wanaka Mountain Guides, says his team is deeply saddened by the loss of both Vialletet and his guest. From the moment Thomas arrived in Wanaka, Stewart says, he quickly established himself as an influential figure and an integral part of the guiding scene in New Zealand. His presence was felt not only on technical routes, but also in the way he engaged with colleagues and clients alike. Stewart highlights that Vialletet's extensive international experience, his advanced technical skills, and his energetic, vibrant personality made him stand out. People were drawn to him, not only because he could navigate difficult terrain, but because he brought enthusiasm and positivity to demanding situations. That combination of high-level competence and approachable warmth made him one of the most respected guides operating in the region. The New Zealand mountain guiding community, though small, is known for being close and supportive, and Stewart notes that guides are now uniting around everyone affected by the incident. Their focus is on supporting Vialletet's family and also acknowledging the emotional impact on the surviving guide and client. Moments like this often prompt guides to quietly reassess their own relationship with risk, even if they continue working in the same dangerous environments. Speaking on the morning show Breakfast, NZ Mountain Guides Association President Anna Keeling described Vialletet as a valued member of the guiding fraternity and a very high-level professional. She emphasized that, from a technical standpoint, he was operating near the top of his field, someone other guides could look up to. Yet, despite his expertise, the outcome of this climb shows that experience alone cannot completely eliminate danger in the high alpine. Keeling acknowledged that the situation is still extremely raw and emotional for many people who knew him. She said the community is taking the loss very hard, which is understandable when someone who represents the best of the profession dies doing exactly what they were trained to do. It raises a difficult question. If a guide of this caliber can be lost, how should the industry talk honestly about risk to clients who may not fully grasp what they are signing up for? Beyond his work under other companies, Vialletet also ran his own guiding business, Summit Explorers NZ. Through this venture, he shared his passion for the outdoors directly with clients, offering trips that drew on his deep experience across different mountain ranges. For many, booking with a dedicated owner-operator like Thomas would have felt like being invited into his personal world of adventure. According to his company's website, Vialletet's relationship with the mountains began in the French Alps, where he grew up climbing, skiing, and roaming the terrain for more than 20 years. That long immersion in alpine environments gave him a kind of mountain intuition that only comes from living and learning in steep terrain season after season. It also meant that when he came to New Zealand, he brought with him a rich background, not just a few seasons of experience. The site explains that Vialletet held a diploma in sport management and that his pursuit of mountain adventures eventually led him to New Zealand. Once here, he quickly fell in love with the country's wild landscapes and remote backcountry, which blended physical challenge with a sense of freedom and solitude. This connection to the land is something many climbers and skiers describe, but for Thomas it became the foundation of both his lifestyle and his business. Over time, he progressed from climbing instructor to fully qualified mountain and ski guide, building a career that allowed him to combine technical skill with teaching and leadership. Becoming a guide is not a quick process. It demands years of training, certification, and real-world experience, especially in complex alpine environments. That long journey speaks to his dedication and to the trust clients placed in him when they clipped onto his rope. One of Vialletet's favorite skiing destinations, as noted on his website, was La Grave in France, often called a freeride mecca because of its steep, ungroomed, and highly committing terrain. He spent nearly a decade there, guiding clients through winters filled with deep snow, glaciated slopes, and no-fall zones that require absolute focus. That kind of environment shapes guides who are comfortable making tough decisions in high-consequence situations. His mountaineering resume also includes time on the French national young alpinism team between 2009 and 2012, a program designed to develop talented young climbers. Earning a spot on such a team signals both ability and potential. He was not just a recreational climber, but someone recognized at a national level. This background helps explain why so many peers saw him as operating at the top of his game. The website describes sharing his passion for the mountains as central to what he did and suggests that this spirit of sharing will now form his guiding legacy. Every client he taught, every new guide he mentored, and every friend who learned from him carries a piece of that legacy forward. And this is the part most people miss. A guide's influence doesn't end with their last climb. It lives on in the safety decisions, skills, and attitudes of everyone they helped shape. Police say the bodies of the two men are being returned to their families, and they are working with the U.S. consulate to support the American climbers' loved ones. The case has been referred to the coroner, which is standard in deaths like this and may eventually provide more clarity on exactly what happened. Yet, even with a formal report, some questions will likely remain, especially for those who had trusted Thomas's judgment and skill for years. So here's the uncomfortable question that could stir debate. When people hire elite guides for serious objectives like Aoraki/Mount Cook, do they truly understand how thin the margin for error can be, even with someone exceptional leading the way? Should the guiding industry push harder to communicate the full reality of the risks? Or would that discourage people from chasing life-changing experiences in the mountains? Do you think adventures at this level are a beautiful expression of human passion, or an unnecessary gamble with lives that are, as this story shows, far too special to lose?